What's going on, people? Welcome to another episode of the Off the Ball podcast with me, your host, Chris LeBron. And this show is brought to you by SeatGeek. SeatGeek, your number one place for all your ticket needs. Make sure to go on over to SeatGeek.com and get $20 off your first purchase with the promo code Off the Ball Network, all caps. You want to go to, you got baseball on the way. You know, I know NBA season just ended and all that, but if you want to go to the play, take your lady to the opera play. Make sure to use the promo code Off the Ball Network, all caps, for $20 off your first purchase. But we got another great show for you. Episode 187. We're 13 shows away from 200 episodes. Can't wait for that. But got a great show for you today. Been waiting for to have my guest on for a while. We finally got him on the podcast. My guy, William Harris from the All Rookie Podcast. What's going on, my guy?
Nothing much, man. Great to be on this show, the Off the Ball podcast. We've been trying to do this for like over a year, and we finally got it straightened out. It's an honor to be here, talk some NBA draft.
And you know what's crazy? I just realized you did a show with Rafael Barlow, maybe like 2-3 years ago, and I was on like that same series he was doing, having a bunch of people who like to draft and all that. I just realized that you were on it too, probably around the same time I was on it. So we've been in the NBA draft space and without even knowing it, and so we finally, like I said, we've been connected for a little bit. We finally were able to get on. So like I said, happy to have you on the show, bro. So before we get into all the good stuff, NBA draft, which is just by the time you guys are going to be listening to this, it's literally going to be a week away. So you guys listen to this on Thursday. It's going to be a week away from the NBA draft, which I know we're very excited about. But first, tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me about your podcast journey. I always love, not just talking about the topic, whatever, but learn a little bit about my guests and how they came about, how the podcast started, how they get into the whole NBA draft world. Tell me a little bit about yourself, my man.
Right. Well, my podcast, the All Rookie Podcast, is an idea that I came up with because everyone's so fascinated with the draft and it's talked about nonstop in the offseason. But once the season starts, 90% of those players are forgotten about and that we cared about all so much during the offseason. So I was like, let me create a show where I cover the draft, but also follow the guys throughout the season because, rookies are important too. They're not always in the headlines, box scores, as we see what Christian Brown did in this playoffs and championship run. So that's the basis of my show, the All Rookie Podcast. For me, I have 2 kids, a 4-year-old, 2-year-old, love basketball. Basketball's been my life. I started collecting basketball cards when I was a toddler. So pretty much. So, here I am and I'm ready to talk some hoops with you.
Yep. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. I got 2 kids myself, man. And like I said, half of my shows, you're going to hear the kids in the background, whether they're arguing, doing something, so you know how that is and all that. But, like I said, I saw, remember doing this series of Rafael Barlow when he was having people on. I remember seeing you on there. So it's dope that you're continuing this and you're having success with it, which is dope to see. I always love it. Yep. Appreciate that. So let's get right into it. The 2023 NBA draft, like you said, by the time people listen to this, is going to be a week away. Like I said, it goes by quick. Like the NBA finals just finished, and now we're getting ready right into the NBA draft and all that. So tell me a little bit about how you've gone about evaluating prospects. Like when did you start like really diving into the draft, and how have you grown as far as, evaluating guys since that first time you started, really diving into the draft?
That's a great question. This is my 3rd year into it. I always like to wait until after the college season ends. A lot of people stay with it from the beginning, the middle, the end, but I think you probably can miss some things, and remember certain points, but I just wait till it's all over, try to collect as much data as I can, and then rank the players like that. I go by normally ESPN's rankings in order of the players that I watch, but then I decide to myself, like, no, that's wrong. And I move guys up, down like a puzzle piece, and eventually I end up with my list the way I like. My first year, I was not as confident enough to go out on a limb. I would see a guy, they have 20th, and I say, man, he's like the 5th or 6th guy. I won't
Yeah.
move them all the way up to 5 or 6. Maybe I'll go 14, 15. But you can't do that. You got to trust your instinct and go with it, because no matter who it is, ESPN, any other top shows you listen to, no one gets it right all the time. So you got to go with your gut.
Definitely
It's
not.
nothing worse than getting it wrong when you didn't go with your gut, So, and now that's what I do, So I have guys, like we might get into them a little bit. Imani Bates, ESPN has him in the 50s. That's just ridiculous to me, man. So I can't do
Agree.
that. So, that's pretty much how I go about scouting and checking out players.
Yeah, and I'm kind of the same way. I wait till everything season ends, and there's some and even a little bit after that, once everything gets a little settled, even till like a month, a couple weeks ago, where you finally like, all right, everything, the dust settled, the combine's over, withdrawals, all that. Now I can actually fill the board and know, all right, this is everything set. All right. Now I can really just focus. All right, this is where, and and really just go in and figure out who I like and all that. And I kind of, when I do my board, I don't know you do, I just go based on who I like in the order I like. Like I try not to influence too much. Like I'll obviously, read and listen and watch, stuff on guys, but I base it off just who I like,
Yeah.
1 through whatever, 1 through 58, since there's only 58 picks this year. Those are the 58 guys I feel like are the best guys, in the
Right.
draft and all that. And that's kind of how I've been all about. And then, like I said, I've learned a lot from a lot of people where that work. I've been doing the draft since 2020. That's the first time I really dove in, and I learned a lot from that because I made a lot of mistakes, seeing things and just learning. And guys like Rafael Barlow would when I would get them on the show, just talk to them and just learn. It's like, okay, and I'd be like, what did I miss and all that, and just learning from that and be like, okay, that's how I should have seen it. I didn't see it that way. And just learning from that. Now I look at the game completely different and all that. And I feel like it's definitely helped me, maybe someone that I would have felt like would have been top 5 2 years ago. I was like, oh, no, that player is going to be lower or higher, whatever it is. And it's like I said, trusting your gut. Like, I feel like a lot of people get scared to be wrong, but it's like, guys, it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. Even the best team, the Warriors mess up. They thought Wiseman was the guy who didn't have, it wasn't the case, and they've won 4 championships, in the last decade, so it's okay to be wrong. Just go with your gut. Maybe you just saw something different. Maybe it's just a bad scenario for that player. Maybe it's going to work out. It's just not going to work. Like Wiseman, if you were high on Wiseman, yeah, it didn't work out for the Warriors, but for Detroit, it might be the case, and that's happened a lot of times. So I feel like you said, trust your gut. If that's what you're feeling, hey, that's what you're feeling. Try to go with the consensus because that's what everyone's telling you. Just, hey, if you feel like you see something different, all right, I'm not feeling this guy. I believe that 100% that people should go with their gut, go what it is. If you're wrong, you're wrong. It's okay. I just think people are just too afraid to be wrong, and especially in today's era.
Like when I'm, I try to make my own decision first, then I'll listen to other podcasts. I don't want to be have my mind swayed by other podcasts, but then I'll see as I'm listening to a couple of them, I'm like, man, they are being swayed by what's being said. So it's like, that's weird. So I'm not going to go that route, but even the ones that are considered experts get swayed. So stick to your gut.
Yep. 100%. Like I said, use the information you get from whether it's Twitter, whether it's from ESPN, CBS, no ceilings, whatever. Use that information, and maybe it can help you, fully go into like, all right, now I feel good about this guy now, and all that. So just take the information, but ultimately use your gut. But the 2023 draft, like I said, is going to be a week away and all that, and obviously we know who's the number 1 pick. Well, we know who the number 1 pick is, right? It's no surprise. Like it's probably the most locked in number 1 picks is probably, Zion and LeBron. Those are probably the last 2 where we were like, yeah, those are the number 1 picks. And maybe even Dwight Howard and all that. But, those are the locked in. But after that, it gets to, that's when it starts, because we all assumed Scoot was locked in at 2, right? No matter, regardless of the team, right? Regardless of Islam. But whether these reports are true, we're feeling that Charlotte is all in on Brandon Miller, the wing from Alabama, who's obviously a worthy, pick and all that. But I want to ask you, you're the Charlotte Hornets, Will. Are you pulling? Are you going with Scoot? Are you going with arguably the second best player? Or are you going with the better fit with Brandon Miller? You're the GM. What are you doing?
Well, ironically, I live in North Carolina. I'm a Hornets
fan. So you're there. Okay,
I'm the perfect person to ask this question.
That's hey, this is perfect now because you're a fan. So now, you're invested in this. This pick first of all, it's a very important pick for your franchise. Obviously, last season it didn't go well, right? Let's just say the least. It just didn't go well. A lot of things. Lamelo getting hurt. A lot of things. The whole Bridges situation. We don't have to get into that. And now Michael Jordan potentially selling majority stake of the team. So a lot of things happen for the organization. At one point, it looked like you guys were heading in the right direction. You made the play in the year before. You lost, but they looked like there was a lot of hope going in for the future. Now, like I said, a very important pick that can help, set the direction for the franchise. But, well, this is your team. This is your favorite team. You're the GM. You're the number 2. You have the number 2. Jordan says, hey, this is my last draft. Well, let's make it right. Let's go out with a bang. What are you doing, man?
I mean, I think it's a clear cut. You have to take Scoot Henderson. You cannot go for fit when you're the Charlotte Hornets.
I'm with you, bro. I'm with you.
We've done that too many times. And, there was a meme going around about 4 years in a row. We picked the wrong guy.
Well, I feel for you, my brother. I feel for you. There was years where you're just like, wow.
Yeah.
I'm a Knicks fan, so I know how it feels to be one pick away from getting your guy. Like I've been burned like you, but we've never had the 2 pick. Or you guys had the number 2 pick was like so many times, and then you just picked the wrong guy.
Michael Kidd Gilchrist in the house, but
man, I'm so sorry.
Brandon Miller will still be better than any of those past mistakes. He'll still be a good player and all, but I think Scoot Henderson, it's funny you said we all know who the number 1 pick is. In my big board, I have Scoot Henderson as the number 1 player in this draft.
All right. Right. So, yes.
But with the Spurs, I think the Spurs should take Victor. So, he
financially, perfect. If you're just as a businessman, even if you do feel like Scoot might be it's kind of like with Ja with Zion a few years back, a lot of people felt like Ja was better, but it's like financially, it's true. Like we gotta take, you gotta take Victor because you're gonna be making a lot of money. Strictly,
and mainly because the Spurs, they had a tremendous point guard in DeJounte Murray, and they got rid of him, blew up the whole team. So you're not gonna do that to draft another tremendous point guard. They're gonna go with the shot in the dark for Victor. But the Hornets, I think Scoot can work well with Lamelo. I think they will play well together. Lamelo has been used to playing off the ball because he grew up playing with Lonzo as the point. So, I think they'll make it work. Scoot doesn't seem to be a selfish player. He seems to be ready to come in, and he'll play with Lamelo as well. Worst case scenario, if it doesn't work out, you can have a situation like the Kings when they had Tyrese, Halliburton, and De'Aaron Fox. They traded them, ended up getting a player to help them get to the playoffs. So, in my opinion, it's not even close. You got to go with Scoot Henderson for the Hornets.
Do you believe the rumors, though? Because we all know it's rumor season and all that, and things are going to get thrown against the wall, and people trying to see what sticks. So, obviously we've heard this for, it feels like a few weeks now, but do you believe, you're there, you're in the city. Like, is this something you're feeling? Like, have you heard anything? Have you seen anything? Like, do you believe these reports, or you think it's just just throwing it out there? People just throwing it out there.
At draft time, there's a lot of misdirection and
a lot of smoke screen.
But with the Hornets, you can never put anything past the Hornets. You almost expect them to do the wrong thing. So until they say that name,
you're right, because it is the Hornets. They've done this before,
So if it was any other team, you'd be like, nah. But the Hornets, you got to wait till that name is said until you're confident about it. There have been some interesting trades being thrown out there. Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson. Zion, you never know about his health, but it's a shot in the dark. But my thing is, if the Pelicans are willing to trade their franchise player for the second pick, that lets you know right there that pick is very valuable. So like Zion was their everything. It's like, here, take our everything so we can get this guy. So you probably should just take that guy.
Yeah. I'm with you, man. I think Scoot's the second best player in the draft. I feel like if you're Charlotte, I feel confident having this kid in my organization. He's gonna represent the organization well. He's a hard worker, and the man is built like a tank. He's built like a tank. He's been playing against pros for the last 2 years, so he understands the grind. And he's going to be someone, like I said, you can trust. Like you truly can trust. And I just feel like the upside is this guy is a all NBA, all-star level player. And listen, I might even think about even trading Lamelo. I just because he's going to need the ball in his hand, Scoot. I feel like he's going to need the ball to be the most effective, especially early on. And Lamelo's had the injuries, and this sort of like a thing where how much does Lamelo love ball? No pun intended. How much does he love ball? Does he love what ball brings for him, or does he actually love the game? I feel like I know Scoot. He's a gym rat and all that. I'm not saying Lamelo doesn't work, but it's like there's levels to this, and I feel like Scoot is going to have all. He's going to work. He's going to have that quote unquote Mamba mentality and all that. Like he's just going to work. And I just, if I'm Charlotte, I Brandon Miller, like I said, he is a better fit, and he's third on my board. So it's not like it's like, whoa, he's taking the seventh guy and all that. But I feel like I trust. I think Scoot's going to be all world. So maybe because I'm just so high on him, and like you said, you have him won, like you have him number one. So we know how you feel about him,
right?
So like, but it is the Charlotte Hornets. So they might take a Ben Thompson for all we know. Oh. We might be talking about the wrong players. Well, they might just take a Ben Thompson or someone
they'll probably
else.
Trade the pick for Bradley Beal straight up, and that's not going to do anything for us.
That's something they might do, man. That is something. That is a very Charlotte Hornets like thing.
Yeah. But it's interesting with the Lamelo point. It's been speculation. Could we draft Scoot and just trade Lamelo? I think people in the organization would have a better feel on that because they see him every day. Like you said, Scoot's going to work. Is Lamelo going to work? We've seen him in the limelight, see him with the fancy cars. But, I mean, he's been great for Charlotte from what I've seen. Mm-hmm. But, if the team is like, he seems like he wants to be a star. There's been rumors that he wants to go to a bigger market. If that's in your head, then definitely you're going to take Scoot. So, I wish I worked for the Hornets and I had more inside information, but that's all I got right there.
Yeah, and like I just wonder how comfortable are they with Brandon Miller, and obviously we know what happened in Alabama and all the stuff that comes around. Yeah. That's not going away right now. So do they really want to deal with that? Like, because obviously, let's say Miles Bridges comes back, that's going to be another thing. You're going to deal with everything that comes with LaMelo Ball. The whole Michael Jordan stuff, selling, it could be a lot of distractions and all that.
Bouknight has had some off.
Bouknight. I totally forgot, and they took him high, and I like Bouknight coming out of UConn. Like, so like they figure out him. That's someone they need. PJ Washington got his own stuff going on,
right?
Yeah, so it's like they got a lot of guys with a lot of stuff going on. Do you need another player coming in that has some stuff going on that the media is just going to be? Do you want constant negative? That's what I'm saying. Do you just want the constant negativity 24/7 when you just had a season that was just dreadful and all that? Do you want to get the player that's not going to bring in all that is going to be, somehow right now a safe player that's they got no baggage. He's just coming in. He's going to ball and all that. Comes from a good family and all that. That I just feel like I feel more comfortable with that, but. Like you said, it's the Charlotte Hornets. It's they don't have a history of making a lot of great picks and all that. So, it's an important pick though. This is a very important pick. Because
another thing, like Scoot is 6'2" and an incredible point guard. People, I don't even think you can use his size against him. But in this draft, this is probably the longest and tallest draft that I can remember. It's so many 6'9", 6'8" guys with long wingspans in this draft. And, if you don't get Brandon Miller, could you get someone that could turn into Brandon Miller with your later pick, or even trade up because we have like 4 high picks. Trade 3 picks and get into the early 20s, and you could get a guy. GG Jackson could fall. You know, any guy like that maybe could turn into a player close to Brandon Miller. Then you have the Scoot and the Brandon Miller type. You know what I mean? But if you take Brandon Miller, you're not getting another Scoot Henderson.
Exactly. I'm glad you brought that up because I think you guys have a pick late first round, and then you have 3. It feels like you have 18 second round picks and all that. It feels like you got the whole second round and all that. So I think you have you have 27. 27. You got 41, 39, and 34. You're probably not going to use all those picks in the second round, which means there's opportunities to move back up in the first round,
right?
Along with 27 to even get back maybe into the lottery
to
get one of them. So, like, we talk about one Miller. There's you can get Maxwell Lewis. You can get Leonard Miller. There's a lot of long wings you can get. Maybe if Dariq Whitehead drops, maybe you go get him. Like I said, GG Jackson. Jet Howard, something like that. There's abundance of wings in this draft.
Yes,
so like that's how I would look at it too. Like, and I'm glad you brought that up. Like, there's no Scoot Henderson in the late. And I'm not saying that there's even Brandon Miller's late, but there's guys who are closer to Brandon Miller than there's guys that's closer to Scoot Henderson.
Yep.
So why not take Scoot and then let's package some of those second round picks. Let's move up and try to get one. Let's try to get in the lottery or get another wing that we can use, that can help us. That's something I think that's something, but that you really got to think about because obviously you're not using all those second round picks.
Yeah, the team is very young as it is. You don't need all those picks.
Yeah, so that's a really good point, and I think I didn't really think about it that way, but I'm glad you brought that up. Like, yeah, there's more guys closer to Brandon Miller than Scoot. Take Scoot. And then let's get wing because, like you said, there's abundance of them in this draft. This draft is probably the deepest at the wing position, So why not? Let's just go that route and find someone who's going to give maybe not the production that we think Brandon Miller can be at his max, but someone that's could be pretty good at. And then we got Scoot, and then let's say we still got Lamelo. Hey, maybe we can be something in a few years. I think that's a route that I would definitely go for. Try to move up with those picks. Get up in the lottery, especially if one of these wings drop, which one will. So
somebody's gonna drop.
Somebody's gonna drop. Who do you think drops?
That's a good question. I mean, the word around NBA Twitter is GG Jackson's gonna drop. I've heard Leonard Miller's gonna drop. So, have you been hearing anyone else? I've said Howard could a little bit too.
I've said there's a world, and call me crazy. I think Dariq can drop to the second.
See, I've heard that too. People are scared of the injury, but that's crazy. He's the top 10 talent in this draft, man.
Yeah, but I think people could be really scared of the injuries, and if he doesn't have his explosiveness that he saw in high school, that is like, all right, if he's just a 3-point specialist, that's second round worthy. But if he doesn't have explosiveness, he's a second round pick. So some people I've heard. So, if they feel comfortable with the foot and they feel like he's going to look like what he did at Mount Verb, then he's definitely going to be a first round pick. Maybe not top 10 or lottery like he was projected early on, but still top 25 for sure. But I could see a world. It feels like every year there's that one guy we think there's like, they're locked first round, and then they're in the 40s and we're like, wait a minute, they're still on the board. Yeah, he could be that guy. I don't think so. If I was a betting man, I would say no, but I wouldn't be shocked if we're in the second round, at the top of the second round, and he's there because people are really worried about that.
We saw what happened to Jaden Hardy last year. Jared
I had Jaden Hardy top 10 at a top 10, and he dropped all the way
to top 10 talent. Yep.
So it's I think it could be him if there is, but definitely, like I said, one of these wings I could see Leonard Miller possibly, dropping because maybe people don't buy the perimeter shooting, long term and all that. But I could definitely see. But we just talk about some guys that we potentially could drop. Who do you feel like who benefited the most from the postseason, from off season the most? Who do you think benefited the most?
The combine. See, to me, the combine was not that impressive or important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like if you watch them all season and then you're seeing them in games with most of the first round picks weren't even there. So like, oh, they're playing great in the combine games. Like,
I think that's changing, right? With the new rules, with the new CBA, I believe if you get invited to the combine, you have to attend.
a lot of people didn't play though.
Yeah, I think it starts next year. I believe. I
Okay, yeah,
believe
that's
next
gonna
year. Yeah.
help because you can't judge too much off of that right now. But
Mm-hmm.
Pods from St. John's, St.
Santa
Can't,
Clara, Santa Clara.
Santa
Yeah.
Clara, yeah, he improved. But to me, I had him undrafted before the combine, and then
Mm-hmm.
everybody was saying he's a lottery pick. I'm like, I can't move him up like that,
Nah, yeah, no, I wish you were there. Yeah, I saw a lot of people have, top 20, top 25 buzz on him, and
yeah,
he definitely, I forgot what school he's from originally, but
Illinois, I think.
Illinois, yeah, he played for the Illini, and he had a monster season at Santa Clara. Shot, it was crazy. I think he shot like 45% from three, crazy efficiencies. Now, obviously, the level of play is down. But you saw some stuff at the combine that you like, not a crazy athlete, but did some good things there, tested solid and all that. And he to me, he's just a good connecting piece. I feel like he could be a good pro, and I feel like he's going to be in that either the back end of the first or definitely early second. I feel like his range is probably 27 to like the 35 range. I think that's going to where he's going to be about. I just feel like he's going to be a nice connecting piece, like a DiVincenzo type player. Like I kind of look at that and like he's kind of similar to that. Maybe a little bit better shooter than DiVincenzo, but I think he's going to probably go in that range. But they definitely benefited from the off season and the combine a lot.
Yeah, another guy I would say is probably Tristan Vukcevic. The international player. Like he was on my radar, as in he's good, but when international players young, they don't play that many minutes.
They don't play.
So you kind of have to see it. It's like, oh, I see it, I can project it. But then when you see him playing 100%. The actual game, that was important for me for the international player to show what he could do. So he moved up on my board. I like him.
I've liked him for like 2-3 years. Like I had him top 40 last season. He pulled out, and I liked him, and he showed in the combine. Like I said, he doesn't get a lot of minutes. Doesn't play, but when you see him play, you're like, I see it. Like you said, you see it. Yeah. You see the stretch 4, stretch 5 ability. You see the mid range and all that. Not going to give you much, maybe defensively, but the scoring is there. Yeah. And I feel like he benefited a lot where he was probably maybe back end second round, or I feel like there's a chance someone could take him in the first round. I feel like this definitely, like he's just gotten that buzz, and I love this game, and the way the NBA is going. I think he's definitely fits in today's league, and so I definitely wouldn't surprise if he gets in the first round. I definitely think he's a top 40 pick
for sure.
But first round, I wouldn't be surprised, because we always get, especially late first round, you definitely get a couple guys that maybe you thought were later second round that are gonna go. So I definitely could see him go. I think Amari Bailey too, man.
Yeah,
I think Marley Bailey definitely benefited. Had a good late season surge, because up and down in the beginning of the season, but definitely came on late, and then in the combine really showed out all his skills, perimeter playmaking and all that. I think he went from being in the beginning of the process, from the end of the season, maybe in people's 55 to 60 range, but a lot of people's outside 60 to he's another guy I could see. Utah has a pick in 28. If they don't take, if Jalen Hood-Schifino's not, if they don't pick him, or if he's gone there, I could definitely see Amari Bailey, going in that late first round for sure.
It's gonna help also. A lot of guys, so many guys dropped out of this draft class. It was surprising to me. I mean, that was this NIL money is changing the game, because a lot of these guys would not have gotten drafted because of at least 20 or 30 draftable players went back to school or went back international. So that was crazy to me. So that helped a lot of guys in this draft as well.
I think a lot of people who, especially in the college world, who have been negative on NIL, are going to reap the benefits, in the next few years, especially this year so far. They're going to say like, well, yeah, we're crapping on NIL, but we just got our two best players that probably wouldn't have come back if this NIL wasn't a thing. And
sure.
there's a lot of commissioners that are probably happy that they got a lot of good players, in their conference, or because the every year getting those new set of players, and you're not getting that continuity with teams and all that, and now you're getting big time college stars coming back. You're getting Zach Edey coming back. You're getting those big names. So I think people are gonna be like, we low key like, I crapped on NIL, but we might win a national championship this year because we just got 2-3 guys back.
I think everyone thought, only the top 5 schools are going to just win it every year, but that's not how it's going. So it's working out for college right now.
And now college basketball next season, it might have the most hype it's had in a long time. And it's not centered around the freshmen, right? Because it's usually freshmen who dominate, like who we're hyped about, the Zions and the one and dones. And now it's like, no, there's 5th-year seniors that are the faces of college basketball. 4-year upperclassmen who are the faces of college basketball. So I feel like a lot of those people who are crapping on NIL, like, yes, there still needs to be, rules and all that, and all that. But I think for the most part, there's going to be a lot of people that be like, okay, all right, NIL's not that bad. It's not that bad. We just got our 2 best players that probably wouldn't have come back. Yeah. All right. I'll get it. But like I said, it's adjustment for a lot of people, and you're so used to one way, and I think it's good for these kids, to test the waters, get your little feet wet, see what happens. So see what you need to work on, because in years past, these guys probably stay, they don't get drafted, and that road is hard to that undrafted free agent road is really hard, because there's no guarantee you might even get a G League spot. Then you got to go overseas, and then you got to go through the grind of overseas. You might not play for 2 years, and then like, where's your mindset in those 2 years? Do you want to give up? Because that's tough. I've talked to a lot of players overseas. Like, man, that's overseas can either make or break you. It's like going to JUCO. JUCO's either gonna help you elevate to get back to D1, or you're just gonna stay in JUCO, and then eventually you're just gonna be another statistic. You just could be another guy. So I think NIL is going to benefit a lot. Seeing a lot of these guys come in and test the waters is good for them. Get to see what they need to work on, and try to work on, get them, and especially that you're hearing about next year's draft not being as loaded, as this year's draft. If you were a top 40 guy, maybe a good season, you go to being a lottery pick, So I think it benefits a lot and all that. Sure. But who are some guys that are under the radar for you that you feel like guys needs more attention, with the draft just a week away?
So we're gonna go into my sleepers.
Yep.
Let me see. You want to go deep sleepers, or mid range?
Yeah. Let's go in the deep hole.
All right, deep hole. Vincent Valerio Bodon.
Okay.
International player. He's from Hungary, 22 years old. He came into this new crop of draft selections once all the players started to go back to college, the first round. Mm-hmm. And then he showed up on ESPN, ranked like 80th or something. I saw him like, whoa, this dude he should be drafted, Mm-hmm. He moves very well for his size. He's 6'10", but he plays like a 6'6" guard. So he great 3-point shooter, great form, great cutter, moving well out the ball, smart, crafty. I have him late 2nd round pick, and I don't think that's a guy anyone is really talking about. And he can shoot the ball as well. So those international guys, like I said with Tristan Vukcevic, you got to project a little bit because they're not playing a lot. But I think to be 6'10", basically a small forward, not raw at all. He's a nice player. Vincent Valerio Bodon. A guy from the States, if you want to go there, Adam Sanogo. No one's really talking about him from UConn. They won the championship this year, but he's 6'9", averaged 17 points, 8 boards per game. Shot 36% from 3. This is basically a big man that has everything you want, the points, the rebounds, and can shoot at 3. And, nobody's talking about him, but, he does work in the paint. always gets in great position to rebound or pass, good rim roller, and can shoot the three. He has a promising future, in my opinion. I'm sure people probably wish he was 6'11" or so, but 6'9" in the modern NBA, that is pretty perfect size right there. So he has the skill, presence, and understanding of the game. He's not raw. I hate to crap on the guy, but James Najee, I don't see what everyone else is seeing. And
He's super raw. He's super
so
raw.
raw, man. It's like, yeah, if you look at him with no shirt on, it's like, this guy is amazing. But like, he's a rim runner, shot blocker. I like guys that can do a little more than that. Adam Sanogo is one of those guys.
Yeah, Adama Sanogo is someone I liked last year in the process. I had him as a top 60 guy, and he definitely worked on a lot of things this year, but from the perimeter and all that. And like you said, he does a little bit of everything. And I feel like, if you're like Sacramento, I think they got a few picks in the second round. He's definitely someone that I feel like they got 2 picks second round. One of those picks got to be Adama Sanogo. Yeah. One of them, because you need size, right? They had zero size, other than Sabonis, really. They didn't even play any of their bigs. That's someone I feel like that can help. Like I said, he could stretch a little bit, from the perimeter. Like I say, hit what, a 36% clip from 3, and you just know he's a winning player. Big reason why UConn won the national championship and all that. And he's a big frame and all that, block shots and all that. Is this not a very great class as far as bigs, right? But so that actually might help him, because it might get him drafted higher than maybe that he's projected. So I think like if you get someone gets him, they're going to get themselves a player who's going to work, block shots and be able to hit some shots on the perimeter. So, and then especially with the game is going now, if you're a big, and there's some playmaking too in there, which is good, because if you're a big and you can't play make a little bit out of the post, or you can't shoot from outside, it's going to be hard to be able to play. And because we're seeing the age of bigs that don't do that. They're just not playing and all that.
Exactly. I'm glad someone else sees that with me.
Yeah, if you're just looking at the finals, I mean, the big, DeAndre Jordan wasn't playing. Thomas Bryant wasn't playing. One-dimensional bigs just aren't getting on the court anymore. You gotta have to be. Not saying you need to be Joker, right, but you got to have some of that. You got to be able to do a little bit. You can't just be, once you get in the post, ball gets knocked out of your hands, and you got to have hands and all that, all those stuff. Right. And I think Adama Sanogo is someone, that probably might go higher than consensus is saying, or some people might not even draft. I had him go late second round, like to the Sacramento Kings. Like I said, with the bigs not being strong in this class, definitely could see him going, a little higher than expected.
Yeah, I have him around mid-second right now, but I think if you get him mid-second, you're getting a steal, if it works out.
Yeah, definitely.
Another guy, Amari Moore from San Jose State.
I like him. I like Amari.
Shooting guard. Nobody seems to be talking about. Average 17 points per game, 5 boards, 5 assists. I mean, he did it all. Almost a steal, almost a block per game, 34% from 3. He's an explosive athlete. Great first step, great handle for a shooting guard. Really good shooter as well. He can hit the step back, spot up. He plays very hard. The issue with him, people would say, is he played at San Jose State. So the level of competition, will it translate? But I like
how much do you value that when you hear that? When you hear players, when you hear people say, "Well, level of competition." Well, how do you go about that when you see a player who's at a mid-major or a low mid-major, and the level of competition is there? How do you evaluate that when you're trying to to project them to the next level?
You definitely have to factor it in, because just in the history of the NBA, not that many guys come from nowhere and turn into stars like that. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes you could have a guy that's a pro level, borderline pro, playing against guys that barely deserve to be on the court. So you just have to see how they do. Like the combine is important for those guys, because you can see
100%
the level of competition, the workouts and the GMs and stuff that they see behind the doors that we don't. But so you definitely have to factor it in a little bit. But I like to, you got to just scout a little bit harder. You got to keep an eye on them a little bit harder than the other guys, and see what they're doing. Watch their footwork, watch how they're, dribbling, being a good teammate, passing, or are they just chucking up shots,
Yeah. I feel like the combines benefits those guys, and also seeing, some of the measurables and all that.
Yeah.
And seeing some of the testing and all that, seeing their explosiveness and all that. Because if you see them, they got the vert and they got explosiveness, and they're doing the cone drills and all this, the lateral movements there. It's like, okay, yeah, the competition, but he moves like a pro.
Right.
He's moving like a pro. So once he gets to learn that next level, it's like, okay, maybe we have Dame Lillard here, who came out of Weber State. So and I remember I had a guy on who went to Portland State or Portland, one of the schools, and they played against, they were in the same conference as Weber State. And I remember asking him, I was like, did you feel like he was a pro? He's like, yeah, man, you could tell. Like, and I was like, even at that low level of basketball, he's like, yeah, he just had all the movement. And there was even time he was just like, why are you at Weber State?
Right.
Why aren't you at Duke or Carolina or, one of these, Kentucky? Why aren't you there? And he just fell through the cracks. He just fell through the cracks. You see, like CJ McCollum, or he's at Lehigh. He's over here cooking Duke, as a 2 seed. He's just giving them work, and you're just like, how is this little? Yeah. And now he's had a 10+ year career, 20-point per game score, and had a, who would have thought? So like some guys fall through the cracks, and you just got to find, and to see where they fit, and also fit too. Like going to the right team is important, because a lot of times we'll see players 3 years and like, man, he's not good, but it's like, man, that's his situation sucks. Like, he's just the system sucks. He's playing, as a 2 guard when he's really a lead guard. Or he's playing as a 3 and he's really a 4 out of position. They just don't know how to do it, and we're calling this player a bust, and then they go somewhere else. It's like, whoa, wow, what happened? Like, how, so that's important to a situation. And unfortunately, the kids we're going to see getting drafted are going to go situations that aren't ideal.
It happens every year. Another guy in that same vein, I didn't have him as a sleeper, but he is one, Ben Shepherd from Belmont. So he's kind of in the same boat. He is a guy that I saw him. He might have been ranked super low, and I moved him up to the 30s because I was like, this is different right here. What I'm saying? Ben Shepherd is the truth. And then he performed, he showed out at the combine, and then everyone jumped on the bandwagon, and I'm like, that was there before the combine, if you saw his tape.
Yep. And I got put on him, beginning of season. I read a couple pieces, on a website, and I was like, and just read into him more, and I stuck with him. I was like, all right, let me follow this guy and see, maybe, because you always want to find those guys. Like, it's easy, like we don't know the top guys, but like it's fun to find the guys and like, all right, let's see how he progresses. Some guy would say, yo, watch out about this guy, and then all that, and it's good to see the progression and seeing how that goes. A guy like Maxwell Lewis is someone that early in the season, I heard about him, and then he had a great start. People like, he might be top 10. Then had a little, up and down after that, because wasn't on a great team, and then and he struggled shooting the ball because he was the main guy and all that. So, but that's like a guy like Max is like a few guys. Like, I want to ask you, how do you see guys who you feel like, guys who don't have great shooting numbers and all that because they're on bad teams, right? G.G. Jackson, for instance, Amani Bates. There's a lot of guys like this. Maxwell Lewis, Bryce Sensabaugh was not a good Ohio State team. Maybe they had better shooting numbers, but how do you see guys like that played on bad teams and may get a bad rep for not being good team guys and all that? But how do you evaluate guys like that? Because we know college is a completely different game, right?
Right.
Everything is bunched up. Everything's tight. It's hard to get to the paint and all that to get easy shots that can make the field goal percentage look a little, little crisper, right? All that. So like, how do you look at guys like that you see that not have high percentage and all that, and maybe struggled because it's not lack of space? How do you evaluate guys like that when the game at the next level is going to be a little bit more wide open?
Yeah, well, you said it right there. That is a big key. Just like the international players, they say the NBA game is easier than the international game. So college might be a little more difficult because they're all enclosed. But I have to say, when you look at stats and numbers, some people use it as analytics. That's their everything. To me, I use it as a tool, but it's nowhere near. It may be 20% of the factoring in of the scouting for me, because what you see on the court is more important. And like if you look at today's NBA, I know people were getting on LeBron about his 3-point percentage because they like he needs to shoot 35% or whatever. He was like, look at all the top players. No one shoots 35%. But when we evaluating college players, we want everyone to be 40%. So that's not really a thing it's kind of overblown. And with today's NBA shooting coaches, some shooting coaches are making $1 million because they are transforming guys' shots. I remember Brook Lopez came into the NBA not shooting any, and then he turned into a knockdown 3-point.
It's crazy, like his time till like right when he left the Nets. He probably shot like, let's just say like 20. It was a crazy low number.
Yep.
And then that shift he made once he went to the Lakers, and then as he went with the Bucks, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
And you don't really see that a lot, especially for a big,
right?
To make that, because he was just a strict like post up player and all that. And then he adapted. He adapted because he knew
a lot of centers stepping out. It's like what? Even Thomas Bryant, we mentioned earlier. I was like, what are you doing shooting a 3?
but they realized, hey, in order for me to stay in the league, because Brook Lopez could have been out of the league because he was dealing with injuries, and we could have, Brook Lopez could have been out of the league 5, 6, 7 years ago. But he adapted and knew that, hey, in order for me to stay in this league, I got to be able to expand my game. And he didn't just expand his game. He had a whole rebirth.
Yeah.
And that led him to being a defensive player of the year type of candidate and all that, like, and getting another couple contracts, and having a nice shooting percentage and all the way. He's one of the best shooting bigs in the league.
Yeah.
And then adapt. Being able to adapt was a big part of his game, and that's what we need to see from these bigs today. If you, like I mentioned before, if you can't pass out of the post, you ain't getting post touches, and if you can't shoot, you're probably not going to be in the game.
Yeah. Yeah. And, a lot of old school players probably say, that's a good thing and a bad thing.
Exactly. 100%. Yeah. Cause sometimes you do got to get down and dirty.
That's not how the NBA used to look like when I played it.
Yeah. But sometimes you got to get down and dirty and be like, hey, take advantage of that mismatch.
Exactly.
Something we saw a lot from Jokic is took advantage, especially on those switches where he's got a little Gabe Vincent, 6'2" Gabe Vincent. He's got a foot on him. Hey, sometimes you just got to, let me backing this guy down. Let me get the easy 2 and all that. Sometimes you just got to get. I understand the surge of 3-point shooting and all that, but sometimes if you're Joel Embiid and you are the biggest man on the court, you are 285 pounds. Sometimes the easiest thing is to, hey, give me the ball in the post. Let me do my thing. Because even if against the guy Jared, he's eating up Jared Allen. Even Jokic, he's making Jokic look small sometimes. But but it's just the evolution of the game, and then the evolution of time and all that, and just there's guys. Look at Jahlil Okafor. We see Jahlil. He was a top 5 pick. If he's coming out today, man, we might be talking about him maybe late first round, the second round, because he's just a post guy, and even though his post work is phenomenal, I still think it's one of the best full work I've seen from a big man. He's not even in the league right now, so
crazy.
It's crazy how the evolution of bigs, and that's not too long.
Greg Monroe was in that boat too.
Greg Monroe, man, we thought he was going to be who's the big man? Who's Drummond? Andre Drummond was averaging 87 rebounds a game.
Yeah.
Rebounding like crazy. And now he's a minimum player, backup big.
Yeah.
Playing 5-7 minutes a game in the playoffs, So it's just crazy how the shift of bigs and all that. And we don't really have bigs in this draft. It depends how you want to, how do you how you view Victor, because I think it's going to be interesting to see how they play him.
Yeah.
I think Pop's going to have fun, but it's also going to be challenging because it's like, where is his best fit for him? Where are we going to feel most comfortable, and where is he actually going to last longest? For him, he's going to be like, where am I going to be able to last the longest as a player? So are you going to see him on the wing? Are you going to see him be able to bring the ball up? 7'5" dude bringing the ball up is kind of wild to think. Are you going to have him in the post with the Joel Embiids and the Jokers and and all these bigs. That's going to be interesting to see how they play him. In
With
San
Pop,
Antonio.
I highly doubt he's gonna bring the ball up with Pop. Any
Nah,
other team,
definitely
he
not.
probably would.
Unless they want to go freaky and do some crazy lineups and
Yeah.
then monster lineups.
If he's
Or
bringing the
something.
ball up with Pop, it's Pop's last year.
Yeah, Pop's just gonna be messing around. Because that's a Pop day. He's just gonna mess around people when he knows
Yeah.
he's retired. But it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with Vic. This draft is, where the Thompson twins go and all that. There's a lot of interesting storylines that I'm very interested. What teams tried out? Orlando got 2 high picks. Do they do something? Are they gonna
do something? They got too many young guys, man.
I think they need to make a power move like the Cavs did. Make that. They got the pieces to make a trade.
Yeah.
Enough pieces to make a trade where they're not giving up a lot of their high end, young players, and still have a really good, because they were solid at the end of the season. They were beating good teams. They beat Denver at home one game. I remember watching. They beat my Knicks. They had some impressive wins. I think they finished 35-47. That's after like a 4-20 start, something like that. Like they played bad in the first part of the season, but I feel like they're gonna make something. But it's gonna be to see who trades up. Do the Pelicans trade up, something like that? Gonna be very interesting, to see what happens. But Will, my man, I appreciate you coming on the podcast, brother. Like I said, we've been wanting to do this for a while, and I'm happy to finally get you on the podcast, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me on. This was a blast. I mean, we probably could have kept going another hour. So
we could go. It's basketball. We could do a marathon, man. 24/7 marathon.
When you said you're a Knicks fan, I was about to go into that. It's like, y'all gonna draft somebody? What are y'all gonna do?
We don't even have a pick.
I know.
So we can't even talk. I can't even talk.
You gotta y'all probably get one of the Pacers picks or something. They got too many picks.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking because the Pacers, and I got the board. The Pacers you guys have 3 picks. I think one of those teams that got multiple picks, in the first and second round. I think the Pacers have 2 first, and they got a bunch. I think they got a few seconds. There's no
way these teams are making all these picks.
And that exactly. So we know that's not going to happen. And I just can't see the Knicks just going. Last year they only had 1 pick in the second round. They traded down from 11 to wound up trading that pick for Kemba Walker to get real salary, I believe. So I think the Knicks are I don't know how far they'll go. I mean, I hope they can get in the back end of the first with that Indiana pick or the Clippers, because the Clippers don't pick anyone, and all that. So I hope so. I think they're definitely going to get in. Whether how high, I don't know. But right now I can't even. I
know, right?
I don't even I usually get invited to like a community mock drafts to like represent the Knicks, and everyone's just like, sorry, you guys don't have anything.
I'm wishing this on you, y'all. Knicks are gonna make a trade, y'all. Look out.
We're gonna make something. They're gonna make. I don't know how big though. I
and
don't think
Bulls
it's
too. Bulls don't have a pick either.
Bulls don't have a pick. No, I think they don't have a pick. They lost their second round pick at the tampering stuff, and then they lost the pick to Orlando in the Vooch trade. But those 2 teams don't have picks right now. But I
gotta say this real quick. I'm sorry, but I gotta say this. I hate that teams lose their pick and it punishes the kids. It does not punish the team.
I hate that. I think that's I think do a lottery for those picks. Give a lottery and then reward the Nuggets. Yeah. I don't know. Reward the team that won the championship.
Yeah.
Or the 2 teams. The 2 teams, if it's 2 picks, reward the 2 teams that made the final. If it's 4 picks, they get forfeited. Reward the final 4 teams. Reward because this could be another 2 hours because I'm about to, you just got me into it. It's like,
you're right.
It feels like in the NBA we reward losing way too much.
Yeah.
Why do like, especially with the new why are we rewarding? Why are we like getting, why are we getting, I'm trying to figure the word. Why is it always rewarding the losing, but we're not, rewarding the guys who are trying to win? Why is that a bad thing? Why do they get hit with luxury tax and then taxes up the, why is that? Like, why do we
the Nuggets are gonna have to get rid of some guys because they're in the tax?
They've been trying to win for these last 7 years. This joke, like the Warriors, they're gonna have to give up guys. They've been winning. Like they should get especially if you draft well.
Right.
You should get rewarded. Why do we reward the teams that suck every year? Like, you have an opportunity to get a generational prospect. Like, so we're gonna reward you by you got the best odds to get the number 1 pick. Come on now. I feel like I don't know what to do, but something needs to change where we're rewarding winning more than rewarding giving guys, losing teams constant, lottery picks. It doesn't feel right. It's just like, I get you want parity and all that, but guess what? The same teams that get the top 5 picks are the same teams that are getting top 5 picks.
Right. They're
wrong.
just wasting the talent.
Yeah. So like, and it's not like the Warriors, they built their dynasty off their highest pick was, besides the Wiseman, but like they built that on Klay Thompson being a late lottery pick and Steph being the 8th pick, and Draymond a 2nd round pick and all these guys being late picks. I don't know. I'm tired of the rewarding of constant losing. We got 2 picks. That means 2 kids are not going to hear their name that probably would have heard their name. And I've talked about that.
Yeah, because it's probably close to 70 guys that deserve to get drafted. And
2 less names. And why not just reward, like I said, hey, Nuggets, you guys win the championship. Here's a 2nd round pick. Miami, here, you get the other 2nd round pick.
Yeah, and just Miami would not waste that pick either. We know that.
No. So like, why not do a system like that? Okay, well, this is how you get rewarded. If somebody's tampering, they lose their pick. We go from from championship, whoever's the runner up, the 3rd runner up, 4th, something like a record wise, highest, the number 1, the team with the best record. Hey, you just got the Bulls pick. And with this team, you just got the Bucks pick, or whoever the other 2nd team that Sixers. Yeah. You get, Miami, you get the Sixers pick since they were on some. I don't like that 2 kids are not going to hear their names on draft day because of teams messing around and now they get penalized. That just doesn't feel right to me, but
sorry to make you go off on that tangent, but I had to just get that.
No. And I'm glad you brought that up. Because that's been bothering me for a long time. It just, I don't get it. Just give the 2 picks. Let's have 60. It's 2 rounds. You don't need 2 rounds. It's not like the NFL.
I know.
The NFL has done that. Even the NFL has done that. It's like, but at least there's 7 rounds there. Like, all right, most likely I'm gonna hear my name, but it's like, you got 2 rounds. There's only 58 players get drafted.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna have 2 guys who are gonna have a harder road that would have had at least a roster 2-way potential. Now they gotta, now it's gonna be a tougher road. But I don't know, man. That's just, I don't get it. I don't like that. But like I said, bro, appreciate you coming on the show, my man. We definitely gonna do this again. But before we sign off on the podcast, please tell the people where they can find you and if you got any projects coming up.
All right, appreciate you again, Chris, for having me on. Great show, a lot of fun, but you can find me on Twitter at WilliamIsBill. My podcast is the All Rookie Podcast on all platforms, and you can check me out on YouTube. Just the pod is on YouTube, so if you want to see my face. But but other than that, just ramping up for this draft. I'm gonna have another mock draft, my mock draft 2.0 coming up. I don't hit people with 10 different mock drafts, so this is my 2nd, probably and final one.
That's it. I'm doing 1 more, and that's a wrap.
Yeah. So I normally do 3, but this year, with all the guys dropping out, it's just like I'm not gonna do one, then have to change it in it. So it's been a mess. I just did one a couple days ago. Josh dropped out. I was like, I gotta change it already. Right. So that's what's going on. So just check out the All Rookie Podcast, and I appreciate you guys.
Yep. And like you said, you can follow me at Off the Ball Pod. Where's Morris actor talking all things basketball, college basketball, recruiting, all that good stuff. Follow me Off the Ball Pod, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Go like the Facebook page. Go sub, comment, like on the Off the Ball Network YouTube page where this will be streaming this week. Follow the network, offtheballnetwork.com is the website. Make sure to go OTB_network on Twitter. Give us a follow there. And all that good stuff. And the draft is just a week away. Catch me on Knicks Fan TV draft night. And even though we don't have a pick as the Knicks, we're gonna be locked and loaded, for the draft.
Coming.
It's coming. We're gonna get one. We're gonna get something, at least a 2nd and all that. So, but on that note, that's Will. I'm Chris LeBron, Off the Ball Podcast. We are out. Be well, be safe, take care.